Welcome to Healthy Living. I'm Lori Johnson. Today we're talking about what many doctors now say is the most important thing you can do for your health. It strengthens your immune system, balances your hormones, helps us maintain a healthy weight, and can even cure horrible diseases like autoimmune diseases. I'm talking about your gut health. My guest is renowned gastroenterologist Will Bulsiewicz, author of the book Fiber Fueled, a plant-based gut health program for losing weight, restoring health, and optimizing your microbiome. Dr. Bulsiewicz, thanks for being here. Nice of you to join us. Great to see you.
It's great to see you too, Lori. Thank you so much for having me on CBN. It's an honor to be here with you.
Well, in your book, you write about all the good things, the benefits of a healthy gut, and the list is so long, it seems too good to be true. You even talk about how it improves brain health. Why is it that what happens in our intestines determines what happens everywhere else in our body?
You know, it's interesting, Lori. You can think of your gut as being the command center for human health. It is connected to so many parts of the way that our body functions. It's connected to our immune system, to our digestion, our ability to access the nutrients in our food, which, I mean, how basic and important is that? It's connected to our metabolism, to our hormonal balance, to our mood, the way that our brain works, even to our genetic code. Lori, it's incredible to consider not only how powerful this is, but also that perhaps the most important part of human health isn't even human. It's these microbes that are not human, but they're a part of who we are. And they play a critical role in the way that our body works.
Some people deal with very serious autoimmune diseases like lupus, Crohn's disease, fibromyalgia, ulcerative colitis, and more, and they don't realize that the root problem might be a leaky gut. Can you explain what a leaky gut is?
We have an epidemic of autoimmune diseases. We are seeing a 500% increase in celiac disease. We're seeing the emergence of Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, all these conditions that are inflammatory conditions. And it comes back to the immune system. 70% of the immune system lives in the gut. There is literally, Lori, just a single layer of cells that is so fine that you can't see it with the naked eye. And that separates 70% of your immune system from 39 trillion microbes, your gut microbiota. And so because they are so close to each other, they are communicating with each other, and they directly affect one another. If we damage the gut, then we are damaging our immune system. The word or the expression leaky gut is referring to a damaged gut microbiome. And so what we find is that a damaged gut microbiome has downstream consequences, including on the immune system, which has been connected to the emergence of these inflammatory conditions.
Well, of course, some of our deadliest diseases, like cancer and coronary artery disease, are also linked to poor gut health, which you also call dysbiosis. Can you tell us why?
Dysbiosis is another way of saying leaky gut. It implies that the gut microbiome has been damaged. It implies that there is a loss of balance. And because of that, it is effectively a dysfunctional organ. And the reason why this happens, the reason why we see our gut health connected to these deadly latent diseases like coronary artery disease, our number one killer, or like cancer, our number two killer, is inflammation. If we were going to use one word, it would be inflammation, which is that when you damage the gut, you create an environment where your body now becomes prone to inflammation. That inflammation, when you allow it to play out days, weeks, months, through the years, can manifest in the eventual development of these types of conditions like coronary artery disease, like cancer. Inflammation is one of the biggest threats to human health that exists in the modern era.
A lot of people might find it very hard to believe that our gut health directly affects the way we think and feel. But you talk in your book about the gut-brain connection. What neurological conditions are you talking about, doctor?
We're talking about many of the most common neurologic conditions that people see, as a doctor, I see these routinely on a daily basis. We're talking about anxiety, depression, ADD, talking about Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's. There's been connections between our gut microbiome and autism. And the reason why this happens is that your brain's best friend is your gut. They are in constant communication with each other. They're talking to each other literally right now. There's a number of ways that your gut is able to communicate with your brain. One of them is through the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is like having a direct phone line between the gut and the brain, but there's more to it than even that. It's a little bit overwhelming to consider, but 90 to 95% of serotonin, which is the happy hormone, it affects our mood, it affects our energy levels. It is the hormone that we target when we use medications to treat depression. 90 to 95% of it is produced in our gut.
Well, I think the book overall is extremely hopeful. And the biggest takeaway is that no matter how messed up our gut is, we can change it. And you really get into detail about how to have that very healthy gut microbiome. You talk in the book that a person can achieve a healthy gut in really two ways: by stopping bad behaviors and starting good ones. So let's start with the bad. What are things that are harming our gut microbiome?
I think that where I would start is with food. The average American's diet is 60% processed foods. I mean, if you think about those foods literally did not exist 100 years ago. And for the first time in human history, we're exposing our body and these microbes to these foods that we frankly don't really know what they do. So 60% of the American diet is processed foods, 30% of it is animal products, and what's left over is just 10% that is the fiber-rich plant foods, the fruits, the vegetables, whole grains, seeds, nuts, and legumes. And so I think we're overdoing it on the processed foods, we're overdoing it on the meat, dairy, and the eggs, and we're just not doing enough of these plant foods. And so that is where I would start first and foremost. But I think, when we go beyond that, we have a culture that is fast-paced. It is go, go, go. It is nonstop. And, there's a problem with that. We're not getting enough rest. We're not sleeping enough at night. We're not making time to take care of ourselves. We're not making time for exercise. We're not making time to slow down and spend time with the people that we love, our family, our close ones. And, another problem is that we're picking up our phones, our tablets, our computers. We have our television. We're watching those things at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, and that's affecting our gut health too. So there's so many different ways that our modern lifestyle can have negative consequences on our gut health.
You talk also about medications, especially antibiotics, and how harmful antibiotics are to the gut microbiome. So tell us, when should we take an antibiotic and when should we avoid one?
I think the reality is that antibiotics were the greatest medical breakthrough of the last 100 years. But because they're so powerful, we have created a healthcare system that not only is dependent on antibiotics, but overutilizes them. And the problem occurs where we're using antibiotics when we don't need to be taking them. So at the end of the day, we need to make an individual assessment every single time that the idea of using an antibiotic is being brought up. We should be asking some basic, simple questions of our doctors. Why do I need to take this antibiotic? What are my alternative choices? What happens if I don't take the antibiotic? And I think having an open dialogue with your doctor, as opposed to literally just the prescription being written and you taking the pill, having an open dialogue with your doctor and asking some very fair questions is the place for us to go, because sometimes they are necessary. But the reality is that we've discovered the vast majority of the time, you actually don't need to be taking those antibiotics.
You say that sometimes they are necessary. A lot of people wonder, if they have to take an antibiotic, how do they restore their gut health?
So the answer may surprise you a little bit, because we have been told, and myself as a gastroenterologist, I have practiced in the past by giving probiotics to my patients after antibiotics. But believe it or not, there was a study that came out in September of 2018 that showed us that if you give probiotics to someone who's coming off of antibiotics, you actually slow down the recovery of your gut, which is problematic. So rather than taking probiotics, instead what we need to do is get back to the fundamentals. We need to focus on eating a predominantly plant-based diet that's rich in fiber. We should consider taking a prebiotic fiber supplement. Many of the fiber supplements that you'll find at your local store are prebiotic, which means they feed the microbes in our gut. And we should make sure that we're not sabotaging our gut. We should take care of the lifestyle elements that we can have control over. What that means is that means getting a good night's rest. That means exercising, spending time outdoors, spending time with the people that we love, controlling our stress, and also not consuming an excessive amount of alcohol or consuming an excessive amount of saturated fat, which is the type of fat that you will find in coconut oil and also in animal products.
This is great information. We're going to take a quick break and be right back talking about the book Fiber Fueled. Stay with us.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
Administering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to cbnnewschannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News. Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Welcome back. We're talking about our gut health with Dr. Will Bulsiewicz. The book is called Fiber Fueled. Doctor, you just got done talking about the bad things. Now let's talk about what we should be doing, the good things to improve our gut health. You mentioned 3 things: probiotics, prebiotics, and even postbiotics. Let's start with the probiotics. What are they and how do we get them?
Many people have heard of this concept of probiotic. Probiotic refers to a living microbe. It could be a bacteria, it could be a yeast, and it is required to classify it as a probiotic. It is required that it actually is beneficial for human health. Now, you can find probiotics in a capsule, which you'll find in many of your local stores, but I like to go back to the old-fashioned way, and the old-fashioned way is with fermentation. Fermentation is the way that we can transform our food. We could take cabbage and we could turn it into sauerkraut. We can take sweet tea and turn it into kombucha. Fermentation is a method of transformation that gives us new food that is alive and that has probiotics. And that's one of the things that I try to get just a little bit of my diet every single day.
So talk about prebiotics. You just talked about probiotics. Those are the actual good bacteria. Prebiotics, how do we get them?
Lori, I am a huge fan of prebiotics. I love prebiotics actually far more than probiotics, believe it or not. And the reason why is because this is food for our gut microbes. I said before, we have 39 trillion microbes that are a part of us, and they're as alive as you and I are. And guess what? They have personalities just like us. They're picky eaters. They like different types of food. And many of them, their preferred food is fiber. Fiber is a part of the plant. You'll find fiber in all fruits, vegetables, whole grains, seeds, nuts, and legumes. And the beautiful thing is this: when you eat these plant foods, they contain fiber that we call prebiotic. Prebiotic meaning that it is feeding these microbes, it is strengthening them, it is empowering them, and it allows them to become more capable of doing our job, which is protecting human health. So I would really encourage everyone to get your prebiotics, and the number one source of prebiotics needs to be your food, your diet. It needs to be eating more fruits, vegetables, whole grains, seeds, nuts, and legumes. Eat the rainbow.
And then postbiotics. Not many people have heard this term before. What are postbiotics?
Lori, this is the next generation. This is for the people who are listening to us right now. This is what people are going to be talking about 1, 2, 3 years from now. Instead of probiotics and prebiotics, this is what they're going to be talking about is postbiotics. Because the entire point of prebiotics and probiotics is ultimately for them to come together, for the fiber to meet the microbes. And when they come together and combine, what you get are the postbiotics. The microbes actually consume the fiber and then release something called short-chain fatty acids. Short-chain fatty acids are the postbiotics. You need to consume fiber in order to get them. And when you get these short-chain fatty acids, they are literally the most anti-inflammatory molecule that I've ever come across. I said earlier in the show that I'm concerned about inflammation. I'm concerned that inflammation can cause heart disease, can cause cancer. And now I'm telling you the most anti-inflammatory thing that we can possibly get. We can get by simply consuming fiber-rich foods.
When you talk about probiotics and the food sources, you mentioned fermented cabbage. A lot of people call that kimchi or sauerkraut, as you mentioned. And then a lot of people talk about yogurt, but yogurt can have some red flags. Can you talk about that?
Well, I think the first thing that we need to do is we need to separate our industrial 21st century version of yogurt from yogurt that was made 150 or 200 years ago. It's not the same. And so the process that they use, they're not waiting for the microbes to ferment the milk and turn it into yogurt. Instead, they're just making regular yogurt, which is laden with saturated fat and with lots of sugar. And then at the end, they'll just kind of, I mean, it's effectively the equivalent of sprinkling a probiotic capsule on top and then stirring it up. So it's not the traditional technique that has been used. But even if you were talking about the traditional technique where you basically take milk and you allow living microbes to ferment and transform that milk into yogurt, even using that traditional technique, I do have some concerns because it's very rich in saturated fat. And it's very rich in the cow's milk proteins like casein. And casein has been connected to various forms of cancer, including prostate cancer. So from my perspective, rather than consuming yogurt as our principal source of fermented foods, I would really encourage people to turn towards the plant sources of fermented foods, which, as you mentioned, include sauerkraut and kimchi and miso and tempeh and even sourdough bread, honestly.
All right, we're going to take another quick break and be right back with Dr. Will Bulsiewicz, the author of the new book, Fiber Fueled. Stay with us.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5, Wednesday night at 9:30.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
We're back talking about good gut health with Dr. Will Bulsiewicz, the author of Fiber Fueled. And you know, doctor, this information is new to a lot of our viewers, which is why it's great that a huge portion of this book is a shopping list, meal plans, and 65 recipes that really look delicious, like breakfast tacos, Sunday pasta, and even strawberry cheesecake bites. So it's not hard, and you are a living example of how great the plan is, because you used to be an overweight junk food junkie. Tell us your story.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about, Lori. I mean, I can't believe where I am today, and even to be in this interview with you as an advocate for a fiber-rich diet. I never in a million years would have thought that would happen. But, you know, the reality is that I found myself in a place where I was in my early 30s, 50 pounds overweight, anxious, frankly depressed, low energy, extremely low self-esteem, high blood pressure, and something had to give. I tried exercising my way out of it, and it just didn't work. And ultimately, the thing that transformed my health, transformed my life, was discovering that I had to change my diet. That the food that I was raised on, it was just like, look, this is the way we eat. This is the way that our family has always eaten. But the food that I was raised on was failing me. It was failing my body. And when I transformed my diet and I moved towards a fiber-rich diet, the weight melted away, the anxiety lifted, my self-esteem came surging back, my blood pressure normalized, throw those medications in the trash can. And now here I am, and I'm 40. I feel younger than I did when I was 30. I'm energized, and all I can say is it's been amazing for me. And then I brought it into my clinic, and I've been healing my patients with this for years. And it was just so powerful that I had to get the message out. I had to write this book to let people know about what was going on and what I was seeing.
What do you think about some of the popular diets today, like that are high in protein? You're a huge advocate for a plant-based diet, but the paleo diet, for example, and the keto diet. What do you think of those?
I think the bottom line is that there are things about those diets that I like. There's things about all of them that I would say that I like. What I like the most, to be honest with you, are the people who are trying to do those diets, because those people are motivated and they're willing to make a change. And if they're motivated and they're willing to make a change, those are my kind of people, because that is not easy. So I value those people. And what I'm disappointed by is that our system has offered them something that's more of a fad, more of a marketing ploy than actual science. And so now we're bringing the science back. That's what my book is about. I have over 600 references. And I'm literally going to show you the studies that back up what I'm telling you. This is not just my anecdote, that this is not just my life experience. There is very strong science to back up the value of a predominantly plant-based diet. And I sincerely believe that this is the way, this is the path to better human health.
And you're living proof of it. Well, we're going to take one last break and be right back with Dr. Will Bulsiewicz, author of Fiber Fueled. Stay tuned.
Christians around the world are standing with the Israelis. But why? In CBN's free magazine, Friends of Israel, you'll discover why Christians are supporting the Jewish state, how Israel is fulfilling prophecy as a light to the nations, and ways you can pray for the people of Israel. Israel needs the support of friends like you. Call now or go to cbn.com to get your free copy of Friends of Israel.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible,
yes,
Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link, Tuesday nights at 6:30.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Protect your sleep and live your best life with innovative information from 5 leading sleep experts.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
Discover a sleep-enhancing bedtime routine, how to put insomnia to rest, learn how to relieve pain that disturbs sleep, and much more in Protect Your Sleep.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Don't miss out on this brand new series.
Welcome back. We're talking with gastroenterologist Will Bulsiewicz, author of Fiber Fueled. And Dr. B, for our viewers, who are really kind of starting out from scratch, what is the one thing that they can do today to improve their gut health?
Oh man, Lori, I love this question. So let me say this. Your gut forgives you. Your gut forgives you. Your gut wants to see you healthy, and it will change. You are not stuck wherever you are today. You can take your health by the horns and take it over and get it back on track. And there is one rule that trumps all other rules. It is the single most important thing when it comes to gut health. The diversity of plants in your diet. Lori, what we've discovered is it's not just about fiber. It's actually about the different types of plants that you eat. So no matter who you are, no matter what dietary philosophy you follow, it's okay. You can continue to eat that way if that's what you want to do, but do this one thing. Get more varieties of plants in your diet. Let me give you a quick example, Lori. I'll make tomato sauce with my kids, okay? And it's a simple dish. It's easy to make. Get the tomato sauce simmering, but don't just leave it alone. Throw in the garlic, the onions, the mushrooms. Get some basil, get some spinach, and just open up the refrigerator and find whatever is in there that you can add to that tomato sauce to jazz it up, get more plant-based diversity. And what you're going to find is it tastes better. It smells amazing. Your kids love it. And guess what? Your gut microbes are dancing a jig because you just fed them. Stop counting grams of fiber. Start counting diversity of plants and the types of plants in your diet.
Well, unfortunately, we're out of time. This is such important information. Where can people get more information? Tell us about your website.
Come join me at theplantfedgut.com. I have an email list where basically when there's a new hot gut microbiome study that comes out, which is all the time, you know that you're going to be getting an email from me, and I'm going to break down the science for you and let you know what's going on. So theplantfedgut.com is my website, and you can find me on Instagram and Facebook as the Gut Health MD.
Once again, the book is Fiber Fueled, the plant-based gut health program for losing weight, restoring health, and optimizing your microbiome. Dr. Will Bulsiewicz, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your outstanding work. The book will help anyone who reads it. Great to see you, Doctor.
Thank you, Lori.
And that wraps it up for this edition of Healthy Living. I'm Lori Johnson. If you'd like to watch other episodes, just log on to cbnnews.com and click on the show's link. Hope to see you again next time. Take care, everyone.